Welcome to Cattle Connect, your insight into Alabama's beef cattle industry. I'm your host, Kayla Greer, and this is Cattle Connect, brought to you by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. Hello, cattlemen. I would say Happy New Year, but I was recently informed that saying Happy New Year after January 5th was not appropriate. So I guess that's one of those rules, kind of like don't wear white after Labor Day. So, in an attempt to stay within the rules of society, I will just say welcome. This is an exciting day for the ACA as we kick off this new platform of communication, not only for ACA members, but for cattlemen across the state. This is really a small moment in ACA history, and I'm personally just happy to be here. But I am not alone today. I'm joined in studio by my co-host and ACA Executive Vice President, Erin Beasley. Erin, welcome.
Kayla, what a big day for the Cattle Connect podcast. So good to be with you to kick this thing off.
It is. It's an exciting time, an exciting opportunity. And guys, I just want you to envision where we're at right now. We're sitting in my office. There's a window here, so if you hear a siren or something, just remember that we are in downtown Montgomery. It is. The weather is starting to look a little rainy, so if you hear any background noise, just know that we are in a working office. So forgive us on that. Before we get too much into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, Erin, why don't you give us a little elevator speech about yourself for those who are listening who might not know you? Guys, this is the head heifer of the ACA, and this gal knows the beef industry and loves this association.
Thanks, Kayla. I can't claim head heifer very much. I've got 2 kids, so that makes me a pretty seasoned cow at this point. But we'll roll with that. I'll take that. But great to be with you again. Yeah, I'm Erin Beasley, and I get the privilege to serve as the ACA exec. And for those that don't know what that means, I'm basically just oversee the operations of the ACA, and also serve as one of the lobbyists here, and just trying to make sure that our members have a great association to affiliate with, and just trying to grow every day. But a little background on me. I actually grew up down in Florida in the Jacksonville area, and I moved to Alabama in 2004. I attended Auburn, War Eagle guys. Sorry for the Roll Tiders. And, graduated from there in 2008. I was in animal sciences. I stayed on for a master's degree and wrapped up in 2010. As y'all will remember, that is the time in which the economy tanked, so not a lot of jobs available. So luckily in 2010, when I came out, there was an excellent opportunity to stay pretty local. I actually got hired at the Cattlemen's Association. It was my first job right out of college, and I've been here since. And so this is year 14 for me, which is hard to believe. And I started off primarily in beef checkoff programming. And over time, that position grew as people came and left. I started to fill voids here and there. And in 2017, I was promoted to the exec. And so I've been serving in that role ever since. My husband and I, we live in Notasulga, Alabama. And we have a farm over there. We have a commercial cow-calf operation and do some hay production as well. And we have 2 kids, Hunter and Tatum. So that's a little bit about me. I'm sure we'll get into more as this podcast rolls along. But now it's time to hear from Kayla, your host, who has also a distinguished career here at the Cattlemen. So Kayla, tell us a little bit about yourself too.
All right. Well, nothing too exciting here. I was raised here in the river region of central Alabama, only left for a brief time to attend Auburn University, where I earned a degree in agricultural communications. If I had a nickel for every time somebody asked, does that mean you learned how to talk to cows? I probably could have paid for my degree. Nevertheless, after graduation, I came back home, married my high school sweetheart, and moved back to our family's 7th generation beef cattle operation in South Montgomery County. There, I began my career here at the ACA as the Director of Communications, and almost 9 years have passed. I cannot believe that. I guess what they say is true. Time flies when you're having fun. But 9 years have passed, and my role has really changed and adapted and developed into, something completely different than how it started. So primarily, I started out managing social media, doing some graphic design, being the resident paparazzi, doing all of our photography around here. I managed the website. Now, fast forward to now, I still do all of those things while also managing our media relations here in the office. And in the past year, I've joined the policy team as a lobbyist with Erin, representing Alabama's beef cattle industry.
That does make us a team because we have two now.
That's right. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I think with any association or trade organization, we talk about it all the time here, that staff has to wear a lot of hats. Jack of all trades around here. There is no 2 days that are the same. And the same can be said for every person that works here in this office, and you guys will get to meet some of them throughout this season of the show. For me personally, lobbying had been the newest feather in my cap until today, which I guess now my resume can include hosting the Cattle Connect podcast, which serves into a great segue of today's topic. Why Cattle Connect? We want to talk about why we decided to branch out into the podcast world, what we envision this platform offering our members, and what you can expect to hear as you tune in this year.
The 81st Annual ACA Convention and Trade Show is headed to Huntsville February 23rd and 24th. Join us for Alabama's largest beef cattle industry event. Register now at bamabeef.org.
But Erin, can you give some backstory into how this idea came about? It started out a year ago, and then it rekindled here and there, and now we're here, sitting here in my office chatting. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, so Kayla loves when we take car rides together, because that normally means that we're gonna just spitball a bunch of ideas, and we're gonna come up with something great, the latest greatest, as I like to call it. But no, this really did start about a year ago, as Kayla alluded to, and it was a time when I was kind of in this season of really trying to evaluate everything about the association, and had come to a point where I realized my cup had run over, and my plate was totally filled up way too, like Thanksgiving plate big. And so
that is saying it lightly.
Yeah. So, it was a time for me to step back and say, hey, what do we need to do to do better? Which is a question you ask yourself all the time. But what that led to is, taking a step back. I stepped back from the SLE rodeo last year. And as I was making that transition, I also laid just a big one on Kayla one day driving to Birmingham, and approached her. The other area I wanted to expand in the association was our lobbying and our governmental affairs area. And I wanted to talk to Kayla that day about, changing her position up a little bit and giving her some new opportunities. And so she was looking at me with big eyes, as she normally does when I bring up big ideas and stuff.
Y'all, I can hold my tongue, but my face it's the one that needs deliverance. My face tells all. And I'm sorry that you can't see it while on a podcast, but Erin got all the facials that day.
And I'm the same way. I can't hold back my facials, but that's okay. Kayla and I have worked together now for almost 10 years, so we know each other pretty well. But that day we just had a great talk. She was interested in kind of changing up and expanding her role. And so that got us talking about, all right, well, what about the communications piece? What can we do? What can we do, in addition to what we're already doing, and, trying to look at her talents and all that good stuff. And so the idea of a podcast came up that day. And we actually looked back on the calendar. It was 1 year and 1 day ago that this came up for the first time on that drive to Birmingham. And so anyway, we came out of that day, and, the idea came up. But as things go, we got busy, things happen, and we were in the middle of all this transition, of new roles and everything, the session, all that. And, we got to the summertime, I think it was, and all of a sudden a podcast idea came up again. Once again, just kind of, all right, yep, we probably should think about that. Well, then you fast forward to December, and we're all in Washington, D.C. We had taken the Young Cattlemen's Leadership Program council members up to D.C. to show them what it's like to be on the Hill and talk about federal issues. And we were there with our friends and colleagues from Mississippi who have a similar type group. And, we're sitting at dinner one night, just enjoying ourselves. I was talking to my colleague, Andy Berry, who's a great friend at the Mississippi Cattlemen's. And he said, man, you ever thought about a podcast? And I was like, well, just so happens we have. And Kayla and I met eyes about that point at dinner. And, anytime you hear something 3 times, that's normally...
Should probably pay attention.
Yeah, it's about time to go ahead and give a little more than thought process. So we came back from DC, and Kayla, being creative like she is, she jumped on the opportunity. I said, hey, let's see if we can pull this thing together. So I don't know, Kayla, I guess that's the backstory, and here we are today about a month later and launching this thing. That's exciting.
It is exciting, and we really want this to serve as a connecting point for Alabama's cattlemen, hence the name Cattle Connect. I wish all of you could have been sitting here in the room when we came up with the name of this podcast. There were several of us, Josie, Erin, myself, even an outside guest who's just a creative mind, joined us that day, and we were just spitballing all kinds of names.
A lot of bad ones.
A lot of bad ones. A lot of really bad ones. You guys are welcome for skipping out on those, but we landed on Cattle Connect because it just seemed to envelop our mission. We want to connect with cattlemen. And so no matter if you're checking cows in the truck, if you're baling hay in the summer heat in the tractor, maybe you're just sipping your morning coffee, we want you to feel like you're sitting here in the office with us just chatting. We want to bring you casual, informative news and updates that will keep you connected to the ACA, to Alabama's beef industry, to current events that are happening in the state or with the markets, or maybe it's something that's indirectly related to the cattle industry. Some of those ideas include introducing you to our staff, chatting about the history of the ACA. We have this great book here in the office called It's Great to Be Number One. We each have one on our desk, and we reference it all the time. If we can't find the answer to something, we say it's probably in the book. And so a lot of people don't know about that and don't know that expansive history that we have through the written word about the ACA. And so we'd love to share some of that with you guys. We also want to explore upcoming events, be that convention, regional meetings, youth programs, or the SLE rodeo. We want to get you the latest and greatest on that. We want you to get to know your state officers and the other leaders of this association. Maybe that's a beef council chairman or a Young Cattlemen's Leadership Program chairman. We want to obviously and keep you informed about our legislative efforts throughout the session. Our legislative efforts are a huge member benefit of being a member of the Cattlemen's Association. You guys are out there farming, and we say that we like to protect your right to farm. We'll put boots on the ground on the hill while you put boots on the ground on the farm. We'll talk about beef checkoff programs that are being implemented across the state. The checkoff program staffers will come in here and chat about some of those things. We'll even have guests from outside the office hop on the show to talk about beef cookery, maybe youth events, and ag policy. And y'all, that's just our first tranche of ideas. We would love to hear from you and what you'd like to hear from us. So please don't hesitate to call our office, contact Erin or myself, offer up some creative ideas. The rules are, there are no rules.
Oh, that's good. I don't like rules.
We don't like rules around here. So all that to say that no idea is a bad one. We will see what we can do to bring it to life. And, one question that we haven't asked in this is why? Why does this matter? Why are we doing this? Why are we taking time to grow out a new program area? We talked about the backstory and what we're going to talk about, but we haven't talked about the why. So, Erin, what's the point of all this?
Well, the biggest challenge we have as an association is getting our message out. And so, in my mind, the why is that we've got to tell our members what we're doing. It's important. We want y'all to know what's going on, I think most importantly. And, we've got a lot of great communication pieces. We've got the Alabama Cattlemen magazine, which is, your traditional print version that I know a lot of you guys look at every month. And I thank you for reading it, by the way. We have a fantastic digital presence. So we've got, the Facebook and the Instagram. We've got the blog that we put out. So, we're doing a lot of great things. But as we know, with our producers, our young cattlemen's, group, they're all 20, 30 years of age, somewhere in there. Kayla and I, we kind of fit in that example too. We listen to podcasts. It's
all the time.
I get on the Twitter for news and I listen to podcasts for inspiration or for information.
I think a lot of us here on staff drive in from out of town to work every morning. And so there's a 30-minute gap of time to fill, and what better to fill it than with a podcast?
Yeah, I'm either listening to a podcast or I'm thinking. Trying to think and come up with another idea. So, the podcast is great for just reaching, I think, another audience of our membership. And guys, really and truly, I can't emphasize how important it is for me, for y'all to feel like you're connected and that you are a part of the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. Your membership matters. It matters so much. It not only matters in how we are able to advocate for you, but it's important to me that you know what we're doing here. Right here in downtown Montgomery, working for you. It's our honor and privilege to work for you and to try to represent you to the best of our ability. And that's what we're here for, the whole team. That's our dedication to you, and we're so thankful that you choose to be a part of this organization. And I know y'all are busy, and you're doing an awesome job what you're doing on the farm, raising cattle, raising beef, and it's our job to do a great job for you in representing. And so to me, this is just an excellent way to expand what we're doing to try to get that message out. And, I hope you'll enjoy the Cattle Connect.
We hope you're enjoying this week's podcast, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Get benefits like this and so many more to stay connected to Alabama's beef cattle industry today by visiting us online at bamabeef.org/join.
Yeah, and Erin, you alluded to several different means of communication that we have out of our office. And I would be a poor communications manager if I didn't elaborate on what some of those are. We have all kinds of platforms for news and updates. This is the most mobile. This is just something that you can pop on the speakers of whatever you're riding around in and listen. But we have lots of other resources. Our number one being the Alabama Cattlemen magazine, as you mentioned. This is a monthly publication that we produce out of this office. And your membership, your $50 membership dues, gets you a 12-month subscription to that magazine, and it's got everything in it. We are proud of our magazine. We love it. We like to say that it's one of the premier livestock magazines of the Southeast. So your membership includes that. So if you're not a member, you can hop online to bamabeef.org/join and get your subscription starting today. Next on the list is our social media, our Facebook and Instagram. That's where you can go to get the most instant daily news and updates. If it's happening now, or even if it's just happening this week, then it will be on our Facebook first. We can only do a magazine monthly. We can only do a podcast here and there. Or some of our other methods are timed out, but social media is always kind of on the fly. So that's where you can get the happening now news. You can follow us at AL Cattlemen. Our website's a great resource for finding out information about upcoming events, about market news, checkoff programming, and it's also home to the Bama Beef blog, which is where we publish a monthly update, basically a monthly e-newsletter that we call Bama Beef News. And we don't only publish it on the website, we also send it out via email to our members. So if you're a current member of the ACA and you're not receiving that email the last Wednesday of each month, then please call our office, ask to speak with Miss Jessica, and she can make sure that we have your email address on file with your membership. All right, now that is a sound that you should all come to know and love. That sound means that we, Erin, are going to stop talking and that we're going to wrap up this episode, but not before we give you 3 fast facts that we feel like you need to know today. They can be fun facts, they can be deadline reminders, calls to action. Really, the limit does not exist. It's just 3 things that we want you to know before we let you go. So, Erin, hit us with this week's Cattle Connect Fast Facts.
All right, to start off our Cattle Connect Fast Facts. Number 1, we want you to come to convention. The convention is coming up February 23rd and 24th. It's in Huntsville this year, and expecting a great crowd. Big trade show, guys. Largest one in the state for the cattle industry, so make sure to get registered today. Your membership matters. We mentioned it earlier, and as a part of that membership, you get a steak supper every year. And so your county meeting is probably coming up. If you'd like to find out if and when it's coming up, you can visit our website, bamabeef.org, and check out the events calendar. We have every county meeting on there that we know about. And number 3, for a little bit of fun, little something you probably didn't know. Did you know the ACA celebrated its 80th anniversary on January 4th of this year? What an exciting time to have a birthday for the ACA.
80 years. Yeah, I think it was January 4th, 1944. We were founded in Demopolis, Alabama. Marengo County. That's right. So, exciting time, 80 years of the ACA. That's incredible. And happy birthday, ACA. Happy birthday to you guys as members of the ACA. That's something that we can all celebrate. And hopefully the Cattle Connect podcast is a way that we can continue to celebrate all the things that ACA has done over 80 years and will do in the years to come. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Cattle Connect, brought to you